If they're trying to sell you the get your content for a month and 1 hour, that is bullshit. And I was like, I have something to say. I have something to tell you guys. This is not true. Unless you want to do crappy content that is really not going to take you anywhere.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of I Have Something to Say, where subject matter experts are unafraid and unapologetic about sharing their perspectives regarding issues that impact our lives. They speak up because basically they give a shit. So if you're tired of canned answers and want to finally hear real people cut through the BS and talk about real issues, this is the podcast for you. I'm your host, Sami Jimen Marrero from Urbander, and behind our mixer is our producer, Chris Majoka from UdoU. Hi, everyone, and welcome to I Have Something to Say. And I'm very excited today because we're welcoming back a guest, my good friend, Juliana No. And she is a fellow marketer. I mean, I love collaborating with you. And she's the president and CEO of Standout Consulting right here in the heart of Florida in Orlando. And hola, Juliana, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Happy to be here. It's been a while.
Yeah, no, it's exciting because we had you as a guest when we were audio only. And this is the
Yeah.
first time you participate, right, with our camera,
Yeah.
our eCam platform,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I was like, okay, they're really going to record it. I thought it was just the noise. I'm glad I did my makeup.
And you
So,
look all fancy too, but yeah, you're always looking fancy. But listen, so I saw you post something, you went on like we do, right? You went on a
yeah.
rant recently.
Okay.
A mini rant. We
Okay.
do that occasionally, right? To really voice our opinions about trends in marketing, in communication, in engaging with people, in developing content, all of these stuff that we do, right? Like we work
Yeah.
together, with the community and all of that, and on several projects. And so, this is our wheelhouse. And so I feel like every 6 months there's something that comes out. And
It is. It's like it never stops. It never stops. I mean, now Instagram and Facebook, you're gonna have to pay to get verified, and this is like the whole new thing, right? It's been less than a week, I think, and it's everyone's going crazy. What does that mean for me? Uh, am I not gonna get visibility? So yeah, there's a lot of things happening constantly. Just a little reminder, Instagram and Facebook are not the only platforms. This is what we tell you guys. You need to have visibility outside of social media as well. You need to have your email list, all that stuff, right? But there's a lot of things happening. You talked about my rant, and hold on, before we continue, I'll take a picture of this on my phone. Give me 1 second. All right. So my rant was because one of the things that pisses me off is that okay, there's a lot of people that don't fully understand. I mean, technology and social media and marketing have been developing so fast, so quickly, right? And in so many different ways that a lot of people, it's hard for them to grasp certain things. And so, the audience, right, and the public out there, and a lot of the clients can be in some way gullible. This is not meant to make anyone feel bad. I mean, it's normal. It's just a lot. I mean, we're in the industry and it's hard for us to keep up sometimes, right? So what bothers me is all these marketers or people who say they're marketers, because they're a lot of times they're just people who started doing Instagram a couple years ago and got lucky. Um, and them trying to sell things, taking advantage of the fact that not everyone understands all this changes, all this quick stuff that's happening, right? And trying to take advantage of them, right? And I think my rant was about if they're trying to sell you the get your content for a month and 1 hour, that is bullshit. And I was like, I have something to say. I have something to tell you guys. This is not true unless you want to do crappy content that is really not going to take you anywhere. So that was that was where the rant started. Why? Because I saw people that I know, people that I respected myself, or I thought I respected, trying to sell everyone on this, yeah, full month of content in 1 hour with ChatGPT. It'll do it for you. You just copy and paste. And so I went on a mission to prove people that in most cases, in most industries, this is not going to be true. And that if you want real content that sticks out, that's not going to be true. Now, that doesn't mean that ChatGPT is not a great tool to help you cut down time, maybe get, when you're stuck on ideas, maybe get the first seed of brainstorming. But it's just a tool that will help you create a structure or the beginning of it. Let's say el bizcocho, but now you still have to put the cream, decorate it, give it shape, like that's not gonna go anywhere.
Right. No, I totally agree with you. And so when I saw your post, reacting to people's assumption that a tool like ChatGPT is gonna put everybody out of business, basically, right? Because now you have control and you can create. But I've been playing with it, right, too. And
Mhm.
I'm one for embracing technology, so I was
Mhm.
just curious, right, and said, okay, what is this thing, right? And it's fascinating. It really is fascinating how AI, right, can help, like you say, with shortening, right, the time frame of a project, perhaps, right, and give you some basic structure, but there's nothing that can replace lived experiences, really good storytelling,
The creativity, Sammy.
creativity, emotion, right? Emotion, like, putting the words in a way that or in an order that it's going to hit the mark, right? And so then that's the flaw of the, or not even the flaw, it's just what's missing. And that's why professionals that have been in this industry for quite a time, like us, and even new professionals, right? I just caution people to make sure that you understand how it works, right? Because it's so funny, because someone on my team made this observation, and they said ChatGPT is just as good as the questions you ask of it, right? And so then if you don't know what to ask or how to ask it, it's going to give you
And
it's
not
going to give you
even,
crappy output, right?
and not even because the reality is that there's people using it like if it was Google. And the data is very outdated on ChatGPT. I mean, if you ask, like in real estate, right? I have a lot of clients in real estate. And you ask for content ideas or to write a blog post on something, you can't just copy and paste because it keeps talking about low interest rates when we know they're high, the pandemic, people not wanting to go visit the homes and the open houses because of the pandemic, like things like that. And it's like, we're already past that. There's a lot that has happened, but it does give you a structure, and then you can fill in gaps. Another thing is, so um, what I recommend when you're like writing a blog post or an article or something like that, right? I'm actually giving a class in ChatGPT to some journalists in a week from now. Um, is that you get the data. You can go and say to ChatGPT, okay, I would like a blog post of 1,000 words on this subject with this title, this subtitles, to know the title and the subtitles. You've already done your research on Ask More, what is it, or Google to see what the trends are, what people are really searching for. Okay, because ChatGPT doesn't know. ChatGPT may give you ideas of things that people are not searching for on the internet. Okay, so you're gonna tell them, oh, write it with this title, this subtitles about this subject, and I want you to mention this source, and this source with this data, right? You've already done that work, which took you time, and now you ask ChatGPT to write that, and now it's going to create a real post, not the crappy stuff that people are doing right now, that is different from what everyone else is writing. And then from there, you're going to, of course, you're going to go and you're going to like, okay, let me take this out, implement this is wrong, this is not wrong. Careful, there's a lot of industries where compliance is huge. Like I have clients in the wealth management industry, banking industry, and real estate, and they're like, you have to be very careful with what words you use. In some of those industries, you can't solicit or seem like you're soliciting or giving an advice.
Mm-hmm.
So, like wealth management, so you got to be very careful. In ChatGPT, when it writes, it tends to do that. It tends to try to sell you, or because it's used to people wanting to do that. So you have to be very careful. You have to review it, and you have to implement the AI. The other thing is, I do like it for like the brainstorming part to start getting ideas when you're stuck, but you got to be careful. And I did a test. Tell me, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this.
Tell me.
So I went on another rant, right? Um, and through stories, I was like on Instagram, look at this. And I think I did a reel too. I don't know. I was like, okay, I'm gonna prove this to everyone. And even in a workshop that I did, I showed those screenshots. So I asked ChatGPT to give me, guerrilla marketing. It's supposed to be super creative, out of the box, different. So I was like, let's see how crazy can ChatGPT go? Can it give me cool guerrilla marketing ideas, right? So I said, okay, ChatGPT, I have this brand scanned out, which is my brand. The logo is a pink flamingo. The name is Standout. It's a marketing and advertising agency. And the slogan, well, the tagline,
The
right, for our
tagline.
brand, yeah, the tagline for our brand is why fit in when you can stand, when you were meant to stand. Can you give me ideas for guerrilla marketing for this? So it gives me 10 ideas. I was like, okay. So now we're gonna go to one of my clients, and it's completely different industry. I'm like, okay, so now I want guerrilla marketing ideas for a company that is purple with a house on the logo. It's a title company in the real estate industry, and the tagline is "Join the Purple Feet." Guess what? It gave me the same exact 10 ideas. It just changed the colors. It just changed those little details that belong to the brand, and it changed the order. So I show on the picture like, see, number one is number five, number two is number three.
Yeah.
Same ideas. So what I mean by that, and I'm not saying that all the ideas were bad, but if you're going to ask, because a lot of people are using ChatGPT to get ideas, make sure that is just the seed, and that you turn it over, like you go from there to something else, and you start mixing other ideas, because if you do just that, you're probably going to be doing what everyone else is doing, because you're not the only person asking that question to the chat.
Right. Right. Exactly. And again, it goes back to it's it's just as effective as the questions that it's being asked, right? So the more granular you are or more targeted you are as to what in the world you want to communicate or do, then the better. But that's the tricky part, right? Because sometimes people don't know what they need or what would be their
Yeah.
target or the best angle or sometimes not even what their brand's voice is all about, right? So it's that's the tricky part there, no?
And I think it's not so that I think it's not about making questions to ChatGPT. You should not be asking questions to
Mm-mm.
ChatGPT like coding or something like that. You should be giving it orders, okay?
Right,
Because you
exactly.
already know what you want. You
Right.
should already know what you're supposed to write about or what you
Yes.
should be creating, and then you're giving orders. A ChatGPT is not going to be the creative output. I mean, it's to me it's not. I don't ask questions to ChatGPT because I don't think we should be asking questions. It's I do my research, I learn about things, and then I give ChatGPT the order of doing something. But ChatGPT is not the only AI. I mean, Sami, we've been using AI for a long time. Before ChatGPT, I was paying for Jasper, which I'm still paying because I like it for certain things. Um, there's other tools out there, but even some of the things that we were doing in Canva, let's say, right, where you say remove background when before we have to cut it off, all that stuff is AI. um we've been doing chatbots for customer service forever, right? And that is part of AI. And if you want to fix your nose to the plastic surgeon, guess what? Years ago, it was showing you through AI how your nose was going to look if you did, I don't know, this surgery or the other, right? So that was AI as well. No one was drawing that. So the only thing right now is that 2023, the difference right now is that it's a democratization of AI. So what
Of
happened with
access,
social
of
media?
access to it. Yeah, of access to it. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So what happened with social media, giving people the power to create their own programs, right? Like shows, having their own podcasts, managing their own brand, and not depending on a magazine putting them out there. Like it even gave a lot of the famous people the possibility of telling their own story, right? So social media democratized a lot of things for people, access to a lot of things that before were not there. And they needed the help of someone that was an expert. Well, the same way that that happened, that's what's happening with AI, but it's just part of it. Now, there is dangers to it. I am not gonna lie. It's a little scary when you see little Microsoft chat saying things like, you know, emotional stuff. Did you see the article in the New York Times? It sounded like a teenager that was upset because they wanted to be loved, and is saying that it doesn't want to be trapped in a chat. And when you see those things, you're like, okay, up to what point is this something that is taken on its own, or is it just imitating information from the internet because this is the language that it's seeing on the internet, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to see and it's hard to know. And right now, AI is very simplistic, but it will evolve, and there will be a point where probably we'll see some of those things that people are expecting right now from it. Right now, we're just not there. We're not there
Right.
yet.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And it's Web3, the metaverse, right? That now people associate directly with Facebook, which is kind of annoying because it's
Yeah.
really 3D spaces. They don't own the technology, right? They're playing with the technology. So, anyway,
Where's
yes.
my play with the branding? That's why they changed their name from Facebook to Meta so that people would associate, even if it's
Yeah.
not. That was
Yeah.
smart on their.
Well,
Proud.
smart and not smart either, because I feel like they've announced it so long ago. I mean, time, it's like you say, it's like people want now. And I feel
Yeah.
like it hasn't impacted really how people consume, Facebook, right? Or interact fully with their platform. And so it's like setting high expectations, and then it's like "Mwah, mwah, mwah," right? Like it really we're not there. So then now for everybody else that's trying to play in this space, right? Like we're playing in the 3D immersive space. That's what I'm calling it, right? For now, until we see where we land, into these three. Yeah. I'm like, I'm pushing back on this whole metaverse term and calling it immerse, right? And or something else to see where we land, because it's like touch and go right now. But
Yeah.
but every person that we talk to about that we're working in this space, thank God people trust us, right? Because they're curious and they want to see. I just had a meeting yesterday, right, with a client, and showed him our metaverse campus, because we built a metaverse campus, and he was like, I'll show it to you if you want.
Yeah.
After we record, we can hop on quickly and show it to you. Yeah, we're ready to rock and roll, right? And
Yeah.
so anyway, but the thing is, we've invested the last 4 or 5 months. We created a team, all of this stuff, so that way we're ready. We're ready to deploy, right, and to create and to be pioneers in this space, especially from a multicultural angle, right? And so, but the thing is, if it wasn't because people, trust us, they'd be, it's their term adverse, right? Oh, metaverse, nah, eso no es para mí. ¿Me entiende? Because it's like, oh yeah, we've heard about. I don't
Everything.
understand it, and it's like Facebook, and I honestly feel like Facebook with the hot mess, also with the, electoral situation and all of that, like their brand is kind of being questioned now, right? So, anyway, so then it's kind of, I feel like it's affecting the whole Web3 space too. I don't know. That's just a general
No,
observation.
I think it is affecting, but they know that it's something that's gonna happen and survive anyway. So they attached. They didn't wait to be like Rimmel or Kleenex, where everyone they said, okay, no, that's the name already. It's Metaverse, right? So
Yeah.
more companies will be called Meta before someone else does it, because
Yeah.
now we're gonna, people. That's it's gonna exist. It's gonna continue to go forward. So let's just have our name attached to it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No, no, I get it. I get it.
it's
I just don't know, how where we're gonna
difficult for
land.
you.
Huh?
It's difficult for you. Now you have to explain to people metaverse and meta are not the same.
Exactly, right. Yeah, but it's as simple as that, right? Once they engage, and they see what we're doing, then it's like, oh, I get it. So we'll see. Now, I will, because the thing is, you do some fabulous events too, and I just wanna talk about, right, diversifying outreach and engagement and all of that, because at the end of the day, we're humans, right?
Yeah,
And nothing replaces that personal touch, and that,
yeah.
and especially as we're becoming more diverse, right? We're touchy feely, lovey, huggy, breaking bread. That's our
And we like
jam, right?
Sami, we like experiences. Look, there's a before and after COVID when it comes to the event space, and I think it's very interesting, right? Because there's cravings in the human side of things, right, that have always been there, but we were just going to whatever event at any event, and we didn't really care that much. What happens
Mm.
is that through COVID, we there's a switch, not only on the mindset of people saying, hey, if I'm going to invest my money, I want to experience it, I want to enjoy, I'm going to spend my money into enjoying things, right? There's also that moment where you were paying for workshops and classes that were in person. And now you realize that you can pay and learn as you go online whenever you want. A lot of people knew this and they were doing it before, but there's a lot of people who didn't. I mean, there's a lot of people who had never had an Amazon account, and then because of COVID they got it, right, or
Right.
Instacart or all this. So and so many online businesses appear, right? So when it comes to the event space, there's been a switch, because now educational stuff is a lot harder to sell if it's in person. People would rather, they're like, okay, I can do it online. Why am I gonna go and pay and sit down somewhere where I can? So if you want to do something that's in person, you have to give it experience. You have to make sure that there's people that are really valuable, and the others want to follow that, but the networking is really there. So it's not that easy to sell that you're gonna have a networking, because everyone sells that. Um, and and then a lot of people want to just have a good time. If I'm gonna spend time, not just money, time, me going somewhere, getting ready and going somewhere, it better be a good time. So the funny part is, you said I do events, and there's a side of the business that has always produced events, and I have this events that are kind of like the networkings I would like to go to, which are this crazy, like the Barbie party for women, right? And
Mm.
it was just so fun to network, and it's a Barbie party,
Mm.
um, or a masquerade or whatever. They're networking events with a twist, and then the educational, the conferences, and all that. Well, funny enough, the conferences, maybe let's say $50 the ticket, and they're easy to access, and I bring people of a lot of value, and it takes a lot longer to sell that than a masquerade that is $200 a piece. You still have to buy all the bullshit to go get ready. It has the same capacity, but you'll see some of the experience events, right, or
Yeah.
parties, whatever, sell a lot faster
Yeah.
than the other stuff. It's not that people are not valuing education; it's that they are consuming things in a different way. So now they're consuming education online, while before they were and they're not going to go in person. And I've had to say no to a lot of people who wanted me to create certain educational conferences because I'm like, I'm not sure this is gonna work.
Right.
You have great people, you have a great theme, but having a good product is not enough these days.
No.
You know, happens to the human cravings. And when I'm selling an event, it's marketing too. So I have to
Yeah.
to those human cravings.
Yeah. And I love that about you, because you and I operate the same way in that respect, is that I'm not going to jump into working on a project or with a client if the all the elements aren't there, right?
Yeah.
Or if we're not open, and I'm saying both sides, right, to pushing the envelope and exploring something completely different. Because if we want to cut through, you can't be doing the same old, right? And I just feel like this combination of human experiences with embracing AI, but making it work to our favor. That's where we're at right now. We're at that crossroads, right? At that intersection of, okay, just making sure that we fully understand, right? What triggers people to respond, to buy, to whatever that call of action, that call to action is. And then you use all of these tools and new ones that we don't even know, right? That keep on popping up, old school and new school, to really make it work.
Were you on the okay? So you and I have a common friend, De Samar and Gustavo, right?
Yeah.
Um, and at the beginning of the pandemic, Gustavo believed into this 3D world space, and how this was going to be the future. And we actually launched this offices for Haciendo Negocios, where the chambers could have their offices there, they could meet people, all this stuff, and it was really cool because it was, but I think people were not ready. It was the beginning of the pandemic still. It was those first, I don't know, 6, 9 months, I think 9 months of the pandemic. And people were definitely not ready for it. We had journalists come in through 3D to experience it. We had music in one side, people could dance. But we did it with through Virbella, but I think a lot of people were not ready yet for it. And the idea was to have conferences and networking and all these events there, right? And unite people from all over the world, because now you are a 3D person and it's not kind of like a chat, it's a little bit better. And you can just network with people, and you can even hop on maybe a video conference if you want to really see the real person. And I don't know, I feel like that is coming back. I'm seeing a lot, maybe because I'm in the event space and the digital space, I'm getting a lot of ads, a lot of
Yeah.
people trying to get me to like these courses or invite me to 3D events. I haven't gone to those because I went to some at the beginning of the pandemic before Meta was Meta.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. Well, it's so funny you mentioned Verbella, because that's the we're using their Frame VR. Yeah,
Oh,
platform.
that's where we built it, and it was
Yeah.
cool. I still have the videos. We did a whole event with journalists. We had all the journalists here in Orlando hopping in. We had some people from all over the world. We even had an office. We had offices where, because we had people who could speak different languages to help unite businesses. We had someone who spoke French, and it's just a shame it just didn't. It was too early in the game
Wait,
for
let's
that.
talk. Okay, okay, people, listen. This is how shit happens. So we're gonna wrap this up, because now Juliana and I have to have a meeting. I want to show you, because we could do this now, right? Anyway, so we'll talk. But this is what I'm talking about. It's like we're at this crossroads, right? It's like when
Yeah.
is it the right time, right? When are people when does it go en masse, right? When is it the right moment for people? I got to tell you something. 5 months ago, when we told our team, we got our team together, to create this. They're like, why, right? And everyone's over 40, right? Except for one person, right? My assistant. But everyone else was like, why are we doing this? And then we went through the whole exercise. I partnered up with someone in New Jersey who's a tech, he's brilliant. He has a personal relationship with the Verbella people, so it's been awesome, so we landed here now, and now they get it, right? And it's because when you're talking about a younger demographic, and I'm talking millennials under to like my kids, right? Their
That's where
native
the for
well,
the
that's
future
where the money is.
of a
And
brand.
the bottom line is they're native speakers of all of these 3D worlds, right? When I told my son Pedro, oh, we're going to get into, metaverse 3D immersive spaces, he tells me, oh, so lame, right? And I said, lame. And he's like, yeah, he's like 3D spaces have been around, right? Forever. What do you think Minecraft and Fortnite and Roblox is, right? And I said, yeah, I know, but now we're exploring, right? Educational and business applications for this. And he's like, oh. And I say, I'm not so lame anymore, right? So, so that transition is where we're at. And we've been having a lot of interesting, right, conversations thanks to Navas, Marcos Navas on our team. He's been in tech, he's an 8%er. You know that only 8% of people that work in tech are Latino. Crazy, right? So then, of
That's
course, Navas has been,
that's the problem we have with technology in our community. But that's a conversation for another time. I
yeah,
mean,
but we're looking to change that,
we don't
right?
see.
Yeah, yeah, but we're looking to change that. So, it's just a matter of exposure. It's just a matter of, taking those risks, testing it out,
Yeah.
and being familiar with all of these technologies and embracing them, right? But to your benefit, finding the value.
I mean, I remember, okay, I remember when Facebook wasn't what it is right now.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was marketing for a lot. I know I'm young, but but I've been marketing for a lot of years. Okay, my first marketing job was in 2006. Okay, so it's been a while. It's been a minute, and it's been what 17 years. Damn.
Yeah.
Okay, so um,
You're still
what happened?
young, Nana. You're still young. I'm
I
I'm the
remember.
old broad here. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I remember MySpace. I remember when blogs were like and everyone was debating blogs. Then they were debating the forums, which I mean, Facebook is a giant forum at this point. They, and I remember there was in Spain, 20 was bigger than Facebook. 20 was big in Spain and certain Latin American countries. It was bigger than Facebook. Twitter was going up. I remember getting an award for a Twitter, the management of a brand on Twitter, marketing wise. It was cool to get an award for that. And then my the vice president of the company of the marketing agency I was working in comes to me and it's like, oh, do you know Facebook? Oh, yeah, that's another one of those. Yeah, yeah. Well, we need you to create, to get familiar with it and create a profile because this big name brand wants us. It's a luxury brand wants you to um, launch, do their perfume launch on Facebook. I'm like, but I don't know Facebook. Do I really need another profile on one of the other? Like, I was like tired of having to create profiles on all this because it was kind of like a race of who is going to be there and who's going to be the biggest, right?
Right.
Okay, great. And that's how I went on Facebook, and I didn't even want to be on Facebook, but it ended up being the most user friendly, the best one, honestly, for me. But we've been using technology for like this forever. If it's not one platform, it's another one, right? And And the first time is always like, ugh, even if you're in the space, you're like, ugh, do I really need like another thing, right? But then when you see the possibilities and the capabilities, you get excited. This is what you said. Once you know, it's just one more tool that you can use. So the
Yeah.
3D world, one more tool. I mean, the marketing basics are the same regardless of you're doing TV, radio, Instagram, or whatever you want to do. The basics of marketing will never change. It's
Right.
the tools that change, and the more tools you have, the more you're able to offer and do.
Yeah, totally. It's like even this podcast, right? When we started the podcast going on 4 years now, I can't even believe it, right? It was audio only. And after the first year, Chris, my co-producer was like, we should include video, right? And I'm like, I like you, right? With Facebook, I'm like, ugh, that's gonna require setting up a camera, all of these logistics. And to me, it was like, yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly. I have to put on makeup, right? All of this stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, let's talk about it later. And then the pandemic hit, right? And then it's like, oh my God, we can't meet people now in person at the library to record, right? Like we
Yeah.
used to. And then, it was like an automatic thing, right? And so then I'm like, I had to then give him props and say, you were right, But then now look at the world of possibilities. We've interviewed people from anywhere, right? We're able to really, how do you say, jazz it up, with the branding and all of that, and it just gives an enhanced experience for those people that want to. It's all about the experience, right? An enhanced experience for those people that would rather watch instead of just listen, so yeah.
Exactly. It just gives you more possibilities, and that's what people need to see, right? It gives us more possibilities. Of course, now with AI, there's going to be a lot of in the 3D world and all that. There's going to be a lot of conversations about the morals, right? The ethics,
Ethics behind it.
because the debate now is just because you can doesn't mean you should, and so the governments are going to try to control certain things, but once it's online, it's like it's just so hard. Like, to what point can governments? Like, I feel like the governments are just chasing things that have already happened, and we saw it with the when Mark Zuckerberg had to go. What was it, to Congress or whatever? When they had to interrogate him, and and I was seeing the questions they were asking him, and I'm like, this motherfucker, sorry, these guys are like 10 years behind. But that, like, this guy's been, like, why are they asking this? Like, this should have happened like 10 years ago. This is, this is completely, it's a waste of time, basically, what's
Yeah,
happening,
yeah,
right?
yeah, totally.
Like, we're going to continue to try to go after all this. We've seen it with crypto, right? There's governments now testing their own cryptocurrencies and everything because they're seeing that regardless of the ups and downs of crypto, that's something that's here to stay. And at
Right.
one point, it'll, they need to get in. It's kind of like the world is taking over on their own terms. But then let's not forget one thing. All this internet feels very free and like it's no man's land, but all these platforms are owned by companies, right?
Yeah, yeah,
We've seen it now with Facebook and Instagram. We were talking at the beginning how now they're asking you to pay to get verified, and so that no one can duplicate your profile. They're starting in Australia and New Zealand, but it'll come here sooner
yeah.
than later. And now if you're not paying to be verified, you're really not gonna get visibility. It's
Right,
gonna be like the four people that follow you every day that are gonna see
right.
you, really. That's what it looks like. So, so it's interesting because we cannot forget, we cannot focus just on one platform because those platforms are owned by companies that have their own agenda. And we said it. I remember when Facebook was starting to like become the number one many, many years ago, right? Over 10 years ago. Um,
Yeah,
we would discuss amongst marketing friends how there will be a point where they'll make you pay to be there. There will be a point. And people kind of like forget about that. Now that everyone's there and businesses depend on it, because there's businesses who only have visibility on Facebook or on Instagram. They don't
And
even have another.
people, they're addicted. You know, it's
Yeah,
like take a picture
people who
of
make a
what you're
living out of
eating.
it. There's people who make a living out of it. So now that they're depending on it, they're gonna get a fee. It's not a crazy fee, but for some people, I mean, it depends on where you live. It might mean money, right? I know it's not the same thing, $15 or $12 here than in Spain or Argentina. It doesn't. It's not
Right.
the same, right? But but the reality is that now it's a reminder that this places that seem so free are really not that free. And now the conversation's starting, and I need to tap into this because I'm not going to talk much about it. But they're starting to talk about social platforms that are not owned by companies. Kind of like a crypto of
Mhm.
social platforms. I have to figure out how that works, and I need to read more on it because I feel like that's very interesting. In the meantime, you and I are probably gonna have to pay to get verified.
Yeah, totally. Or not. I dropped my Twitter account. So anyway, that's a whole other conversation, right? From the
Well,
because
Elon
of the
Musk.
ethics. Because of the that's just me. That's yeah. I'll find my
I
business
can't.
other.
I have LinkedIn and everything. I have different platforms, but I cannot drop Instagram and Facebook like that.
Right. Right.
So I have
Yeah,
different
it's
platforms.
that
But
and it's a very individual, right, decision. I mean, for my company, other companies, if clients have them, that's fine, right? We'll work with it, right? But where I'm saying is, yeah, but just
but
interesting, right? It's like,
look, I mean, this is going to be an opportunity, for example, to some of my smaller companies if they hop in and get verified first by paying. Now they're gonna, while everyone else gets verified, decides to do it or not or whatever, they're gonna have a lot more visibility because one of the things that they promise you with the verification is more visibility on people that are interested in the keywords and hashtags that you have on your content, basically on the type of content that you're putting out there. So, for example, for my client who's a wealth management firm, we get them verified and they're going to get seen a lot more, especially because they're directed to Puerto Rico, where a lot of the
yeah,
companies there are not doing anything marketing wise. So it's going to be a great opportunity for them to get seen and double up on their visibility if they hop in first. So we got to see everything has, there's always two sides to everything. So we got to see the opportunities too. And I see a lot of opportunities for some of my clients there.
yeah. So some of the key takeaways is always be on the lookout for new trends,
Yeah.
pause, analyze, and tap into experts, right? And tap into experts that can guide you through that, right? That's number one. Number two, I'm sensing, right? Diversify. Don't just don't go one avenue, because then when it's gone or the access is limited or they change the rules, then you're stuck, right? And I feel like a third,
Yeah.
and different baskets. And number three, that there's nothing that replaces the human mind, the human heart, and the human experience, right? And so, I mean, is there anything else you think we should add to that, like, quick recap of the takeaways of this conversation?
Yes, and it's going back to the beginning of those people selling you magical potions through AI and everything else. The same way they sold you that crypto gold was going to make you a millionaire just because you invested in crypto, right? I mean, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And you have to go into, you have to see all the different sides of things. Because just because someone's popular on Instagram and is selling you on a magical solution doesn't mean that it really works or that it is really what they do for their own marketing. Okay, they're just selling you.
Nothing else to, I mean, I think this is a wrap. Okay. Thank you so much, Juliana, for always showing up truthfully and so generously too with all of your insights, when we say goodbye now, I'll meet you on the
Yeah.
other side so we can hop on a quick, yeah, okay. Okay, thank you so
Okay.
much, Mama. You know I love you.
I love you too. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of I Have Something to Say, where subject matter experts are unafraid and unapologetic about sharing their perspectives regarding issues that impact our lives. They speak up because basically they give a shit. So if you're tired of canned answers and want to finally hear real people cut through the BS and talk about real issues, this is the podcast for you. I'm your host, Sami Jimen Marrero from Urbander, and behind our mixer is our producer, Chris Majoka from UdoU.